Hello and welcome. This is Jessica with Skilled Womanhood. At last, we have come to my favorite part of all of the chopping trees down and sawing trees with a chainsaw and splitting them with a maul, stacking them, gathering smaller pieces of branches and twigs, and just getting ourselves ready for the season. So there's nothing more I love than sitting around a quiet, warm wood stove. It's a totally different kind of heat. You don't have to listen to the propane heater kicking on and off or any other kind of electric racket. This last season, I had to listen to a propane heater kick on and off all day and all night, and it kept me up all night. And so I am delighted. And I also love knowing that I am not giving money to big companies for electricity or propane or natural gas. So this is where I feel like I'm beating the system, and it makes me really happy. And that's what I know. I'm not exclusively doing a homestead blog here, but I'm definitely a homesteader, and I love everything about beating the system and living simply and efficiently. Yeah, if anything, this is about taking back the ancient ways and the ways that are smart, and there's something about it that's just superior in every way. So let me get started on showing you how I build a fire in my wood stove. I did have a fire in here. I've got some really nice coals. When I first started learning, it was about creating kind of like a house. Like I pitched a tent of all the pieces of wood, and then I stuffed everything underneath, like the kindling or the tinder. I don't do it like that anymore. I do now in a way where I get really great coals that remain for a long time. And so I'm going to show you how I do that. So here we go. I first start putting big pieces of wood in. Okay, so I've got some oak here. First, though, I actually like to pull all of my coals, kind of spread them out and move them forward. You don't want them falling out of the actual stove, okay? So just be careful of that. But yeah, this looks really nice big warm coals. So I know when I place this on, this can get started probably on its own, but I'm going to show you a couple techniques that I do. I'll run you through kind of a mock way I do it, even though I wouldn't need to because I've got nice coals. So ultimately, you don't want to have to constantly be using tinder and paper and matches to start a fire. You just want to have the coals there and put wood on and keep feeding it. It's a lot less work, a lot less resources being used. And when it's really cold, you want to keep the fire going. So, okay, so I don't know if it matters which side you put it in. I usually put this bottom down because I like to have the fire catching all these little grains and little loose ends, because as you know, I'm stacking little, I'm starting from big to little, like that. Okay, there's one. So this is oak, and this is the cedar that I chopped. Okay, so I'm piling that in. Then I've got pieces like this, like they're a little bit, they're smaller, but they're not as small as my little tinder. I like to always throw in a little bit of pine also. Or a handful of things that I keep by the fire are matches. I like to have a whisk broom. And I used to use this one, but I use this one now. This is how I blow a lot of air onto the fire to get it going. Okay, so this stokes it really well. It's like a bellow, but it's a little bit more direct. I can focus it right where I want it to go. I used to use this. This was a piece of bamboo, and I kept putting my mouth on the wrong end of it. I didn't know which round, so I kind of put an arrow here, and then this was like, put your mouth here. But this gives a really direct, intense amount of oxygen that will help get that fire going if it's needing oxygen. Especially if you have coals, you can kind of get it going. So I have these, I don't even know what they're called, like blowers. My matches, whisk, and I keep a little hatchet. In addition to having the big pieces these other like random branches and these little bits that I put in. I also like to chop a little bit of pine, and it shoots everywhere. So that's typical. Something that you can do, I have a mallet. I don't know where it is right now. But in addition to this, like if I don't want to have my hand on this, because as you're getting closer, like you don't want to cut yourself, right? So you can take a piece of wood, like here, and make it like a mallet. Just like that, okay? So I do various different amounts as far as like thickness. So like these are thicker, thinner, to really thin. Okay. And I like to pile these in, a whole bunch. I have learned that it's really important to have a lot of tinder, not just a little bit. Because you get it going and then it peters out and then you're jammed because you have to start all over again. And you wasted that resource and now you got to add a lot more. I also do a little bit of paper. I have some old egg cartons as well. So whatever kind of paper you have, but for sure paper like this works the best. So I try not to use too much of it if I don't have a lot. But I wad this up. And so now that I have this layering, I like to lift up some of these pieces and tuck this paper underneath. Then I add all of these fine little twigs. So already you can see this is starting to go because of the coals, which is great. But just to show you how it goes, let's look up closely. You can see what's going on inside. And I get, wow, hi, we're pretty close to my face. Hi. And I got my matches. And I like to light a bunch of little spots here, kind of in the back. Like don't start in the front and then try to get into the back because you're clearly going to burn yourself. Okay, so it's going, it looks great. Then this is the magic wand. I don't know even what it's called, but this is made out of copper. I could probably show you how to make one, but if you can get some copper, I just pounded down this edge to where it's just a tiny little bit of a hole coming out. I don't want a lot of air coming out, and I want to be able to direct it. And this is what happens when you pound on the copper. It kind of creates a lip. And that's nice so that it doesn't cut you, so you can kind of soften that edge a little bit. But here it goes, and this is so delightful. I don't really have to do much because of all this, but just for instruction, here, I would get kind of inside here. I like to get that paper rolling pretty hot. Be careful not to inhale the fire or the smoke or anything. Let's just be smart. Okay. This looks so great. So because I have so many coals, I'm not worried about this because that's going to maintain it. But if I didn't have coals, I would have to be pretty vigilant to make sure that everything is really catching. Like all of these smaller pieces are getting hot enough and they're catching these two logs on fire. The other thing I want to say is that when I like to use a little bit of pine because pine has the resin in it that's very flammable. I don't like to use pine exclusively, but periodically I like to put a little bit of that in it. But oak would be my favorite. The cedar works fine. But pine is more just a supplement to get your fire going super hot. Okay. It just looks great. I'm really pleased with this. So the next thing I want to do, knowing now that it's caught, it's going to keep going, it's going to keep burning. Because if you walk away from a fire and you're not certain that it's going, it definitely could peter out. And then you come back to just a cold, dead fire with a bunch of big logs in it and you got to start over. So be mindful, just watch it long enough, make sure it gets going. Then once I feel good about it, which I do, I'm going to close this up. And I have a stove with a damper, okay, so I can open this up. I listen for it. I'm hearing it's got a really nice draw. It's pulling really hard up the chimney pipe. And it's got a nice roll to it. It's like when you know that the water's boiling. Like you go, yeah, that's good. It's on. I can tell that it's there. So a lot of this is feeling. So that's going really good. I'm now going to show you how I manage this. So I will damp it down where I just have a little bit of air coming in. I'm not going to just choke it off completely because I want the fire to have enough oxygen. But then I have this damper up above. And this is going to damp down, okay? So this in the upright position means that all that smoke is going right up the flue. But if I dampen this down, that's going to keep some of the heat inside the house. I don't want all of that nice, hot, warm air going up and out of the chimney and leaving the home. So between this being hot, the chimney keeping all of the damper keeping all of this heat in, I know that I am set for a nice cozy little fire. Anything else I want to tell you? If there's anything else, I'll let you know. So I was just about ready to go to bed, but I thought of one more thing. For those of you who don't know, fire requires a lot of oxygen. And if you're in a house that is very tightly sealed, it will be sucking the oxygen out of the house to the point where it'll be choking the fire out. So you want to be mindful that you will want to have, like tolerate a few of those cracks around the door where there's a little bit of oxygen pulling in. But you want to be blocking from having too much cold air rushing in. And you'll notice that I have been in a situation where I was in a yurt in the National Panhandle Forest on an organic farm, and there were so many holes in the yurt that the hotter the fire got, the more cold air it sucked in. So I was taking every blanket and crocheted little doily and everything that was in the yurt, and I was stuffing it in every hole that I could to keep the cold air out. So you might find that if you're on the floor next to a wood stove, you're going to feel a lot of cold air being pulled. Most likely through the doors if they're close to it. So there's something that you can make. I've made multiple, I think they're called draft stops, but I'm just going to show you what I have. I've got a couple things actually that I do. So here, it's just a big fluffy long lean pillow that you can put beans in it. I think I actually found this one and then I cut it open and I added beans to make it heavier. So it just sits right here, right at the threshold, and it blocks from having cold air come in. I also like having very thick, heavy curtains covering doors when I find that there is quite a bit of cool air. You can feel it, And so to put a cover up, I know old timers, even my father has said that they would put big wool blankets around doors, but you can really wad up it. You can wad up a towel and just shove it down at the base of the door. Anything just to keep that extra cold out. Okay. But that's how I build a fire. And if we come back in a few hours, there's going to be big, beautiful coals, and then I'll just throw another log on the fire. Thank you for joining me, and I used to be scared of this kind of stuff. It was all such a mystery to me, but we can learn these things and we can get very skilled and we can maintain our home in a really nice, warm, cozy, functional way. So thank you for your time. This is Jessica with Skilled Womanhood. Get smart, get sane, get skills, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.